There comes a point in almost every man's life where the woman he cares about stops valuing him the way she used to. The calls slow down, the texts get shorter, the warmth in her tone turns into indifference. At first, you think it's just a phase. She's busy, stressed, or distracted, so you start trying harder. You compliment her more. You initiate every conversation. You adjust your tone, your energy, even your opinions, just to keep her comfortable. But here's the truth most men don't realize until it's too late. The more you try to prove your worth, the less she feels it. You're not becoming more attractive by giving more. You're becoming predictable, safe, and easy to overlook. When a woman starts taking you for granted, it's not always because she stopped loving you. It's because she stopped feeling your value. And that happens when your energy shifts from being centered to being needy. Every time you chase validation, you teach her that your world revolves around her approval. And that's when the power dynamic flips. But there's a way to change it. Not by manipulation, not by playing games, but by returning to what made you magnetic in the first place. Your centered presence, your self-respect, and your willingness to walk away from anything that diminishes them. Because the moment a man stops chasing and starts leading his own life again, everything changes, including how she sees him. Ethan had been dating Clara for nearly a year. When they first met, she was drawn to his quiet confidence, the way he didn't rush to impress anyone, how he carried himself like a man who knew his worth. But over time, something shifted. Ethan began to care too much about keeping her happy. When she pulled away, he'd text twice. When she seemed upset, he'd apologize for things he didn't even do. He thought that by being more attentive, she'd feel loved. But what actually happened was the opposite. Clara started to lose interest. She stopped dressing up for their dates. She canceled plans at the last minute. Her laughter, the same laughter that once melted him, now felt forced. And Ethan felt it. That hollow ache of confusion. The anxiety of sensing her slipping away but not knowing why. He told himself, maybe she just needs space. But deep down, he knew. It wasn't space she needed. It was respect. One evening they met for dinner. Clara was scrolling through her phone as he tried to make conversation. She barely looked up. When the waiter brought their check, she didn't even thank him for paying. That night, Ethan went home in silence. He stared at his phone, waiting for her usual, made it home text. It never came. And that's when the switch flipped. For the first time in months, he didn't reach out. He didn't text. Didn't call. Didn't explain. He simply decided to stop trying to prove his worth. At first, it hurt. The silence felt like rejection. But slowly, that silence turned into something powerful. Clarity. He realized how much of himself he'd given away trying to maintain her approval. And in that realization, a new kind of strength emerged, one that didn't depend on her response. Days later, Clara noticed her text turned from short to curious, then from curious to concerned. Are you okay? Did I do something? But Ethan didn't respond immediately, because now, for the first time, he was no longer reacting. He was leading. So where did Ethan go wrong? He thought that being available, kind, and consistent was enough to maintain her attraction. And while kindness matters, it's not what keeps a woman emotionally invested. What draws her in, what keeps her respecting you, is the feeling that she could lose you if she stops valuing what you bring into her life. When Ethan began centering his entire energy around Clara's mood, he unknowingly gave away his masculine polarity, that quiet power that comes from being grounded in yourself, not in someone else's approval. You see, attraction thrives on tension, not conflict, but polarity. It's the push and pull between independence and intimacy. The moment you become predictable, overly available, or emotionally needy, that tension disappears. And when a woman feels she can do anything without losing your attention, she begins to take it for granted. This isn't about games. It's about energetic balance. Ethan's mistake wasn't that he cared. It's that he cared more than he respected himself. He was trying to convince Clara to love him instead of inviting her to respect him. Here's the truth. When a woman senses that your world revolves around her, she subconsciously feels safe, but not attracted, because deep down, every woman wants a man who could love her deeply, yet walk away calmly if he's disrespected. That's what creates desire mixed with respect, a quiet awareness that you have options, self-respect, and a mission beyond her. When Ethan stopped texting first, when he stopped chasing, something subtle happened inside him. He wasn't doing it to manipulate her. He was doing it to reclaim his center. He began focusing on his work again. He started going to the gym, reconnecting with friends he'd neglected, and doing things that made him feel alive without her validation. And that shift, that silent change in energy, is what Clara felt. Because energy doesn't lie. When a man pulls back to heal, to grow, to rediscover his self-worth, a woman senses it. It triggers something primal in her psychology, the fear of loss. Not because she's manipulative, but because she feels the power dynamic reversing. Suddenly, she's no longer certain she has your full attention. She wonders if she still has your heart, and that uncertainty awakens her curiosity and attraction again. But here's the key lesson. You don't do this to make her chase you. You do it to rebuild your identity. If she respects that new energy, good. If she doesn't, even better. Because now you know the truth. A woman can only value a man who values himself. And when you operate from that truth, you no longer need to make her fear losing you. She'll naturally feel it. Because your actions, your calm silence, your unbothered presence, all of it communicates one powerful message. I'm here because I choose to be, not because I need to be. That's what separates the grounded man from the desperate one. Now that you understand the mindset shift, let's talk about the traps, the mistakes that ruin everything. Because most men, when they finally decide to pull back or get her attention again, end up sabotaging themselves without even realizing it. Let's go through the biggest ones. Mistake number 1. Going silent. Just to get a reaction, don't be that guy who suddenly stops talking to her just to make her panic. That's not strength. That's manipulation, and women can sense the difference instantly. If your silence is fake, if you're secretly checking your phone every 10 minutes, hoping she'll text, it shows. Real distance comes from calm confidence, not anxiety. Pull back because you're refocusing on yourself, not because you're playing games. Mistake number 2, overcompensating. When she reaches out, here's what often happens. You go quiet for a few days, and then she finally texts. You feel relieved, and immediately fall back into your old patterns. Over-texting, over-explaining, over-giving. That's how the cycle restarts. You teach her that all she has to do is ignore you for a while, and you'll come running back. Don't do that. Stay grounded. Respond slowly, calmly, and with purpose. Let your energy show that you're not desperate for her attention anymore. Mistake number 3. Using self-improvement as a way to win her back. A lot of men start working out, chasing success or pretending to move on. But deep down, it's all still for her. That's not transformation. That's performance. Your growth has to be genuine. It has to come from a place of wanting to be better for you, because that's what truly changes the dynamic. Let's bring everything together. When a woman starts taking you for granted, it's not always because she's lost interest. Sometimes she's simply stopped feeling your presence, that calm, grounded energy you had when you first met. The moment you begin chasing her approval, explaining yourself or proving your worth, she stops feeling your strength. The shift happens when you stop chasing and start leading yourself. When you pull back, not to manipulate her, but to protect your peace, she feels the difference. She begins to wonder, did I lose the version of him who made me feel safe and desired? That's when attraction reignites, not because you played a game, but because you remembered who you are. So here's your challenge for the week. Stop pouring all your energy into trying to fix her behavior. Instead, put that same energy into building yourself back up. Hit the gym. Focus on your goals. Reconnect with your purpose. Because a man who's deeply connected to his mission never has to make anyone fear losing him. His presence alone does that. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever pulled back and noticed her start chasing again? Drop your experience in the comments. Your story might help another man watching this right now. If this message hit home, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you're not the result of your past mistakes. You're the man who chooses what happens next.